Welcome back to the Three Benchwarmers podcast. Today is quite a special day as it's Selection Sunday. So, this episode will be a little shorter than normal because we'll have a special episode coming out a little later about just March Madness. I know that's all that's on our minds. Quite frankly, we were talking about this right before we started, and Austin's like, we shouldn't even do the podcast this week. We should just do March Madness stuff, which is fair enough. I honestly was thinking the same, but nevertheless, we want to keep it consistent. We'll start about talking about the Lions, who signed some interesting players this week. Definitely better than other Detroit sports teams in free agency or prior years in free agency, where it seems to be that we don't sign anybody. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts?
I really liked what they did in free agency. They had a clear need in the offensive line, and they went in and addressed it. It still needs some help, but I think a lot of people are projecting that we get an offensive tackle in the draft. So, you get Cade Mays, who's a really good center. He played for the Panthers last year, is top 40 free agent. He'll be able to give some consistency there because Graham Glasgow was playing out of position at center last year. Still didn't find any consistency after Frank Ragnow retired, and he was going to come back, and then the whole failing the physical or whatever. So that I like that a lot, and then Larry Borum as well. Just get some bodies on the line right now because Taylor Decker's also he's gone for I don't know if another team signed him yet. I don't think anyone's going to give him his 20 million or whatever he wanted. The more I look at it, the more awful that contract just was. So I'm glad they got out of it. But yeah, what are you guys'
Yeah.
thoughts on just the O line signings?
And no, to Larry Borum, he's taking 5 million next year. I really think he's just a body because against Hutch in fall camp for the Dolphins, they had to stop him from rushing because he was getting to the quarterback too fast against Larry. So, you know, we definitely need some help, and I'm sure he's a young vet who can help, at least be a practice player, some lower
Yeah,
role.
nice little
But I do
practice
like Cade-
dummy.
I do like Cade Mays a lot. Yeah. If there's a rule that had to be made in practice for him, then who knows? But I know as far as offensive line goes, I think it'll be a little bit better. I'm sure we'll draft somebody, but I know. Olex, do you have any thoughts on Isaiah Pacheco?
I'm not against the trade. I think it's not. I guess it is on the note of a trade because I mean we got him only because we traded away David Montgomery, and Pacheco obviously is cheaper than David Montgomery, and they're essentially the same back. I think Pacheco's more of a speed back, but I don't know. I think it's just the same sort of player for a cheaper price. At least what we'll see from Pacheco. So. I'm not against it if it opens up some salary space for other players, but if we use that space to sign Larry Borum, I don't know if it's that worth it. I'm not against the Pacheco signing. Once again, a
I
good.
think you guys are low on this. I think Pacheco will come in and actually do a good job. I think what was missing in the whole identity of Sonic and Knuckles was that David Montgomery didn't think he was a power back. He went back and forth on this with Gibbs, which I would say that Montgomery is definitely a better player than Pacheco. But Pacheco is a guy who just goes and gives it his all on every run. And I think that's exactly what you need. You give Gibbs a rest every so often. You can put Pacheco in. He'll, tire out the defenders. He's very, relentless in his runs. I like the signing a lot. So I think he'll be a good
Yeah,
piece.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean I don't know. I don't know if it's an upgrade from Demo, but
it's definitely
uh,
not.
It's
It's a
definitely
severe
not.
downgrade.
yeah, but at least Pacheco will know his role. I mean, the only reason why Montgomery wanted to leave was because he thought he needed, more carries. So maybe if hopefully they told Pacheco that he's going to be rushing the ball once or twice every possession, then if he's fine with that, then it's a good signing.
Yeah, because I don't think he was fit for the number one running back role in Kansas City. Out of like a lot of rush attempts, he was worse than the league at getting yards and yards after contact as well. He was 48th out of 48th in PFF since 2022 out of running backs. So there's definitely some concerns with him hitting holes and having good vision, but I think as a backup he might be okay. Definitely not David Montgomery. That's will not be
Yeah,
close.
I saw something about how like Kansas City fans were saying if you need 3 yards, Pacheco's going to get you 3 yards. But if you need 10 yards, Pacheco's going to get you 3 yards. So I think he's one of those guys. It's not the worst thing in the world, like I said, but
Here's my
yeah, as
prediction.
long as it
Here's
happens,
my
it's never
prediction. Gibbs gets them all the way to the end zone. It's gonna be like a canine, like Zach Charbonnet situation, and I think Pacheco goes in and just steals every touchdown, unless Gibbs breaks one. But probably Dan Campbell tells him to step out of bounds on some like Mike McDaniel's, just save the back.
Yep. Fantasy owners, you better be listening to Mark's advice.
Yeah.
That's
Gibbs
what's
is
gonna
not
happen.
one
You
on one.
guys are joking, but that is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then a little bit some other signings. Teddy Bridgewater comes back. Nice backup piece. Malcolm Rodriguez is back as a that was a good linebacker. You have to add to that core after losing Anzalone. So just keeping bodies there. Hopefully that's addressed in the maybe second or third day of the draft as well. Getting some more bodies on there and on the cornerback situation as well, where we signed Roger McCreary. He was traded midseason from the Titans to the Rams, and the Rams had a really good defense. I don't know how big of a part he was in that, in comparison to some other guys on that unit, but you know,
Yeah, I think we need one more guy at corner, because it's pretty clear from the players that we've signed that we're going to try to use the draft to patch up our O line. But we just don't have enough depth at corner. Like last year, our secondary was quite poor, and then this next year, you don't know who's going to be playing with Kirby and Branch being out probably for the entire season. So you need somebody. You need somebody else because, quite frankly, Roger McCreary is not enough.
and here's the thing: I don't think it
Yeah.
even needs to be that big of a piece. You have Terry on, you have Ennis Rakestraw, who's coming back from injury. Granted, we haven't seen him play, but I really liked him coming out of Missouri. So I think another veteran guy doesn't have to be, a star like a big splash.
We also have DJ Reed. We signed quite a big contract too. So, and he was hurt last year, but
Yeah, so all those guys come back. I think it's another matter of just adding another body. Rock Sin's back as well. So maybe another piece in the draft, or I don't know if there's much left in free agency. Maybe you trade for a disgruntled, cornerback on one of these teams who doesn't, want to be there. Maybe Darius Slay is always in trade talks. I think that's literally the perfect guy for this, unless his contract is huge. I don't know his current contract, but veteran presence, get the young guys up. Doesn't have to play a tremendous amount.
yeah, I think the Lions have done a good job of spending money this offseason. I mean, they obviously restructured Goff and they had to, and they got about 33 million of space added on. But I'm not sure if they'll use that to extend players next year or what. But at least they're making better moves. Like they lost Anzalone and Amik Robertson, but they both signed pretty hefty contracts at other places. So, if they're aging, or you think you can, get by without them, I think it was a pretty good move to not sign them. I mean, Anzalone makes the same amount as Derek Barnes now, I believe. So I don't know if that was the best guy to lose for his production levels, but at least Amik Robertson kind of got a pretty expensive deal. So I'm not too upset, but
Yeah, he got his money. And then the last thing I'll talk about is Tyler Conklin, which might not seem like a consequential signing, but in my opinion, the Lions' season went very far downhill after Sam Laporta got hurt, and there was not a good body to replace him as a pass catcher. Tyler Conklin has shown that in where was he? The Chargers. He's able to not do that role nearly as well as Sam Laporta, but he's able to just be a body to catch a ball like that. I know we had Brock Wright and Shane Zylstra, but Brock Wright is definitely more of a blocking tight end, and Shane Zylstra not nearly the receiver that Sam Laporta is. So I think Tyler Conklin underrated signing. May not play that well, but I think Drew Petzing ran a lot of two tight end sets, so maybe he gets a good amount of use from that. We'll move on to the Pistons as well. They played 4 games this week, and they rattled off 3 straight of 15 plus against let's just put it how it is, really bad teams in the Nets, the Sixers, and the Grizzlies. And then they get competition against the Raptors. Granted, it's in Toronto, but they do lose that one. And it kind of looked like they weren't really in it as much as they could have been. I know Isaiah Stewart was out. Asar was coming back from injury this game. But they were still far too many Karis LeVert and Kevin Huerter minutes, in my honest opinion. And here's what I've noticed, right? The Pistons, they have some impressive wins this year. They beat the Cavs, Knicks, Thunder, Nuggets, Celtics, Lakers. But if you go back and look at those games, all of those teams are banged up, right? Cavs without Donovan Mitchell. No, no, it was James Harden. Knicks without Cat one game, but they did beat them at full strength. I will give the Knicks as a solid BTA beating from the Pistons. Thunder missing essentially their whole starting lineup. Nuggets without Jokic. Celtics without Tatum. And the Lakers when they were dysfunctional at the beginning of the year. So do you think the Pistons will actually have a chance to go further than, let's say, the second or third round in this year's playoffs?
Yes, only if they get lucky and like they don't have to face the Cavs, for instance, right? Or I think if we get to play the Knicks, which is a possibility, we will win that series because there's just some sort of like there's just another feeling when we play the Knicks. We have obviously seen us sweep them. I think by like 80 point in with an 80-point differential, or something near that in 3 games. But if it's Boston or Cleveland, whatever ends up happening in terms of the standings, if it's one of those two teams, no chance, no chance. Because if this team keeps on shooting the way it does, which is probably going to be the case, because I mean we didn't try to do anything during the trade right before the trade deadline in terms of improving our shooting,
They did.
then then yeah, they did what Kevin
They
Herter.
tried.
Yeah,
That's all I'll say about it. I'm
Hey,
done
that
talking
was
about Kevin Herter.
that wasn't a valiant effort. So
Kevin Herter got an interview the other day, so
I did see that
it was his
halftime
first
interview.
ever one.
But
It's like this is the first time I deserved one. What he said. So
first time
I don't
he's
know if he
played
did.
enough.
First time he's played more than 10 minutes in a game. But yeah, no chance.
yeah, even if they get past those teams miraculously, I don't think they'll compete with the West either. So the
Oh,
Thunder and the Spurs are far and above beyond the Pistons probably. So
we've
but I
seen
think
what happens when the Pistons play the Spurs plenty of times. So
like Wembanyama
Wemby
literally
might
gets
drop
emotional.
60. Wemby might drop 60.
Like
I think my title favorites are the Spurs based on Wemby's pure hate of Chet Holmgren and just how good of a he is as a basketball player.
Yep.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean, they actually care about basketball too. Like Wemby gets emotional after a regular season win. Like he was literally crying on the court.
he was
So
trying
Yeah,
to
he's
start
not
a
like
new
Jokic.
the
he was trying to start a new tradition with like the Spurs and get him like a European atmosphere. If you
yeah.
guys remember
I
that.
mean, they were like 18-2 the last 20 games, so they're doing pretty well compared to the Pistons.
I think this ceiling of this Pistons team is an Eastern Conference Finals, and that's they beat the play-in team as a one seed. You know, like they get the Hornets if they keep the one seed, which I don't know who they have left, but they got 4 games in hand on second place, unless it's 3.5 now. I don't know what Boston's been doing after this game. You,
That's 4 games right now.
it's 4 games, but I think they could go beat an 8 seed and then potentially. I think the Raptors are a 4 seed, and then I don't know if the Knicks are also a 5 seed, or it would probably be Raptors or who's the 5 seed. But I think the Pistons could beat those teams in a 7 game series.
The Magic and the Cavs are the 4 and 5 right now.
Yeah.
The Cavs will go up by the end of the year. Dang, 4 and 5.
Will they go past the Knicks? I
Are
don't
the
know.
Raptors are
It's
the
the Knicks
Raptors
are
the
at
3 seed?
No,
6.
the Knicks are the 3 seed. Celtics are the
Yeah,
two
they
seed.
might lose in the second round, guys. Honestly,
Yep.
I don't know, but I
I'm,
haven't seen.
I'm saying unless the Knicks fall to the 4 seed somehow, it's not. Or like Pistons become a 2 seed and then have to play the Knicks. There's no.
Or if the
Actually, if the
Magic
Pistons
just
become a 2 seed, they might lose in the first round. So
Yeah.
it's I don't I it's really hard because at the beginning of the year they looked just so good so often, and now I don't have faith. Cade Cunningham is still doing what he does. He's giving Jalen Dern literally.
yeah, by doing what he does, going 10 for 40 a night, yeah,
He
that's
went
doing what he
14.
does.
He went 12 of 24 tonight. I mean, granted from three he wasn't good, but it's
What if
I
they? I don't know.
his biggest issue is the turnovers.
Hmm.
Those it's
Or fouls. It's either 5 turnovers or 5 fouls in the first half every single like game. It feels like so.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
All you
know.
can hope for is that JB rallies the troops before the playoffs, which he, notably isn't the best coach in the playoffs, but you know,
Yeah, it's pretty bad. What if they fought? Like, what if they turn into the Tigers of last year? Just great until they're not great, and then
Well, that's
lose.
not the only team that that's been playing very poorly. And in March, there's
And
another team has
yeah, and they're
had
you know, as much as I love the Wings, this Panthers game has shown me that there is little hope for not a choke. Like this was potentially the biggest choke job I've seen from a team all year. It's 3-1 in the third period. You're watching the game, you see 3-2, you're like, okay, you just have to play defense. Just play defense, play defense. 3-3. All right, what are we doing here? And then eventually, they go and grab another one to lose 4-3. Not even overtime. You don't even get the overtime point. You lose in regulation to a team you were up 4-3 on. And you know what? They were playing well. They were playing so well. Justin Folk, is this the game he got his goal against? He got his goal. And he was looking, like it was a good piece in the trade. I've seen him even throughout the rest of this week. He's getting good ice time. He's giving Edvinson and Sherratt a good, another thing. Edvinson, every time I turn on a game, he's in the box for 2 minutes for something. Lord knows what it's for. Sometimes he takes an opponent with him, but, he's got to be in there. And then, they just lose bad against the Lightning. And then the Stars, they go to OT. I thought, okay, they tied it up. They can go to OT. And they were playing, very conservative, unlike the Red Wings, who have, three really good attackers, and then even a good like backups in Patty Kane, who can come in as a second line guy, and they just lose this. I looked away for a second, and the Stars had the puck in the back of the net. So I'm honestly believing there is a Detroit curse. No Detroit team, like just in general, there's not a singular Detroit team who has been good as of recent and has not choked away what was an easy part of their season. Let's go, for example, Tigers last year. Case A. Lions last year. Case B. Lions the year before against the Commanders. There's just so many examples. I could keep going.
Red Wings the last 3 seasons, by the way.
And even, I guess the exception to that would be like that magical Tigers team 2 years ago, but even then they still lost. You know? It's why,
Gonna win the division.
like, what is there in the water in Detroit that's making these guys just have like some sort of aneurysm midway through the year? It's actually
Has it has to be like the front office
no, no, no,
telling the
no.
players,
It's the
to
lead
go.
from the Flint River. It has
No, bro,
come
that
and has contaminated the rest of Michigan.
no, dude. It's there's something about the city of Detroit that just screams mid, and we've seen this for ever since we were born, basically. I honestly have no idea if it's gonna change. As I become older and older, as I develop my human brain,
Your prefrontal
I've started
cortex.
right. Like I'm starting to realize it might not change. Uh, like
They're trying to
it
stay
might be
mid
like
so
this
the
for the
tickets
rest of our
don't go
lives.
up. They want to
Um,
keep the ticket prices low.
yeah, I was gonna say like,
Great mid.
yep.
What is the last Detroit team that has found success as of recent? I guess other than the 2023 National Championship Michigan, what is the last?
Oh, professional, professional. Let's go. Let's do professional.
Gotta be the
Professional.
Pistons before we were born, bro.
No, I
Yep.
think the Red Wings
In the
won in
final.
the late 2000s. No,
Yeah. Actually, no. The
Right.
Tigers were in the World Series.
no, they lost though.
In the
Uh,
early 2000. They did lose, but that was the last time a team was in the finals of a professional sport. Was that Tigers team? That was over 10 years ago, and then before that was the Red Wings in the late 2000s, where they beat Pittsburgh, and then the next year they were in the finals and lost to Pittsburgh. So yeah, basically, I guess not to expose our age too much, but basically when we were in is when the last team that the not the Detroit Tigers, but a Detroit team has won a professional like league. So,
Lions should have. Lions were so close to to Super Bowl, but
Yeah, San
yep, I don't think they
Francisco.
would have won, but
In my
balls hitting off their feet.
lifetime, I have not seen a professional Detroit team while I was lucid, do anything great in the postseason. I guess barring that Tigers run, but the I guess the closest you can get is the Lions. But the NFL is not as predictable as other leagues. They only have
And
16
even
games. One injury can change your entire season.
even that Tigers run, by the way, the Detroit Tigers had like four Cy Young pitchers on that team and still couldn't win. So,
They got
um,
destroyed, bro.
yeah. So
It's whatever. I mean, hopefully we're just talking nonsense and the Lions this year they turn into the second coming of the Chiefs and turn into a dynasty or the Patriots. Why can't we be
Not happening.
Boston, bro? They just always have a team that even the Patriots were not supposed to do jack this year. And Drake May, in his glorious form, leads them to the Super Bowl. Granted, they shouldn't have sniffed that game. But I don't know what type of voodoo magic they have in Boston. Just like sprinkle some in Detroit. Please, bro.
that's a good market. New York, Boston, LA. I mean, those are just better markets than Detroit. That's where it comes down to. They put butts in seats in those areas, and Detroit does not, unless the team is really good. And then they get pressure, and then that's like Detroit isn't meant to. The Detroit sports teams aren't meant to like have pressure on them. So as soon as they do, end of a season, as we've seen the past couple of years, they choke because they're not used to it. They don't come to Detroit to experience these sort of things. So I think that's where it comes from. Um, no one comes to Detroit to win championships anymore.
It's
At
literally
least
like
the last 20
it
years.
should be that the Red Wings should be the perennial team that like stars of Detroit where, one of the original founders of the NHL and they have that legacy to go along, really great team throughout history. But I don't know, like it might be the front office in all of
When's
these
the last
leagues.
time? You know what? I'm gonna go something else. When's the last time a Detroit sports team signed a star that like was a known star, either through a trade
Like a trade scout?
or
Yeah, I
a
was about to ask.
yeah.
It might be Blake
When
Griffin. It might be Blake Griffin.
does that even count? He was like retiring too.
Bobby Baez
That's
supposed to
that's
be.
I guess.
It might
Like
be the other Wallace, not Ben Wallace. In 2003 when they traded for him instead of letting him go to New York.
just think about it for a second. Like when's the last time a Detroit sports team actually tried to acquire a star player in any professional league? Like not counting the draft because rookies don't count.
Genuinely
Like
might be
We
Javier
when?
tried to get
Baez.
Gronk and then he retired. So
Well,
We
did
tried
they
to get
succeed? No. Like nobody wants to come here if you're a player looking for a championship and for a good reason. Only players that are trying to revive their careers into being eternally mid want to come here. And that's why the city is cursed. You look at the Red Wings, our best player, our star player for the past 10 years has been Dylan Larkin. And we have not gone single idea to get anybody else besides role players that for some reason make much more than they should be making and screw the team over.
bench rot.
Bunch of nameless jerseys. Like Raymond and Sider, they're drafted players. They came from the draft. We're lucky they developed into role players. Again,
Patrick Kane,
yeah,
role
Justin
player,
Falk.
role player
I
after
did
role player, bro. Like it's
a
so
quick
like
search and I got Golden Tate showing up on here and Jack Flaherty as the two of the best
yeah,
centers in
those
the
are some
Jack
league.
great
Flaherty, I
examples.
think Framber Valdez is more notable than Jack Flaherty.
Those are some great examples of guys that had their careers gone for them and wanted a revival. So, that's
That
just the
felt like a
state of the city.
97-1 question.
What was?
The like when's the last time a Detroit team has signed a star? That's like a straight 97-1 segment.
Gotta get people calling in to answer, bro.
No, genuinely though.
No,
That's
you
that's
bring a
that's
good point. You bring
that's the best
Detroit is not a
example.
good market like for guys like this. Like I'm trying to think of
Nope.
like a superstar who has come to Detroit on his own accord, not from the draft, and it's not coming to me. And I think the only one is it's not Gerald Wallace, Rasheed Wallace. That's who I was thinking of. And I don't even know if he was like a superstar.
It's
And you know what?
horrible,
When they
dude.
traded for Chauncey Billups, he wasn't good either. So I don't like. I genuinely Ben Gordon, Charlie Villanueva, Josh Smith. I'm just
Matt
naming
Prater.
recent Piston signings that sucked.
Did you say Matt Prater?
Genuinely, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
Probably
hold on, hold on. He's right. Do you know why Matt Prater was released from the Broncos after his in 2013? Do you know this story?
Why?
no.
Really? Oh my god, my dad and I quote this daily. So he showed up to practice drunk. And then he went home and hit his significant other and they released him.
Hence why I'm saying revival of careers. Yeah, come to Detroit. Come to Detroit to be
Lions.
eternally mid. Jared Goff is the prime example of that, by the way.
Literally A1
Yep.
example. Literally.
We had to get 2 first-round picks just to take his contract. So
And you know what?
Yep.
When we first made that deal, I was certain that they were going to cut him after 2 or 3 years after they had drafted someone. I was certain.
Yep. And guess what? He turned into being an internally mid player that's gonna make the playoffs but not be great enough to win a Super Bowl. So every single team, every single player, on every single sports team here is just like Jared Goff. And that's like that's the peak. It only gets worse from there. So when Detroit sports fans get mad, uh, and like disappointed in our teams, I used to be one of those fans. I don't think I will be anymore because you grow as a person. You learn to recognize
Pattern
patterns.
recognition.
Right, exactly. And as a Detroit sports fan, you shouldn't expect anything different. It's just the state of the city. It's just the state of the teams and like the type of tradition here and culture here is just one of that. So there's not like at this point, I'm happy. I think we should just be happy that Red Wings are in a race for the playoffs. The Pistons are the 1 seed in the East, so I think that should be something we're really proud of. The Lions were supposedly competing for the Super Bowl these last 2 years. So that's the best it's gonna get. I
I'm
think
not going to
it's
go
not
too
gonna
much
get
into
any
this, but I
better.
don't even think the Lions win the North this year. But
Yeah, I mean we'll talk about that later. But
there's a saying that pertains around the Lions, but it should be around Detroit. The whole SOL, same old Lions. It's been a motto since I don't know Bobby Lane probably, and it's kind of engulfed just entirety of Detroit. Now, listen, if there's any way that anyone can think of to relinquish Detroit of whatever's happening here, please let us know. I will do voodoo magic if need be. I will figure it out. But for now, it looks like
a
Detroit.
bath of whiskey in Ford Field, like they did, like Peyton Manning did. Maybe that'll work. But
yeah,
ins-
gotta be the Bobby Lane curse.
yeah.
Instead, we are internally stuck in just edge of like you look good. It's looking really good. Like it's looking like you're about to just be at the peak of your game, and then something happens every time. I don't even know if it's internal. I don't know if it's what it is, but it needs to be addressed.
Yep. That's what happens when you sign 50 role players a year that can't amount to anything. I think that yeah, Detroit is a role city, a role sports city,
Would
and that's it.
Would you rather
They
be
play
like
the role.
Buffalo? Would you rather be like Buffalo and go to 4 straight Super Bowls and lose all of them, or would you rather just not make it?
I'd rather have Josh Allen. Yes,
No, 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 no. You're
Well,
you're missing it. In the
he's even
80s.
worse. He's even worse.
No, no.
They made 4 straight at one point and lost all of them.
In a row.
One of
yeah,
them they
but
missed a field goal
I don't.
but lost.
We're living right now. I want to talk about right
I
now
think
because
that's worse. I think that's worse.
The Pistons and Red Wings won a bunch of championships before if we want to go all the way back to the 80s. They've won since then. If we're looking at it from a
But the
holistic
Lions haven't.
perspective,
The Lions have never even made one, so it's a little bit different.
Lions are one team,
Yeah, it
so
was
I
a
don't know.
historic year when they beat the Rams in the wild card because that was their first playoff win since 19 when they had Barry Sanders or something.
Yeah,
So
Josh Allen is just a playoff loser. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
I'd rather actually watch Josh Allen be a competent quarterback than
He hasn't though. He definitely fumbled twice and lost in the game, so
Lamar isn't
definitely his
competent in
fault.
the playoffs either. He starts to getting his shivers when they get there too. So
Honestly, Joe Burrow is probably the best. So.
Yeah, he's in Cincinnati, so I mean, yeah, being a Cincinnati sports fan must be atrocious as well. So
Buffalo
they don't
has to
even
have
have
it
a
worse.
league.
Chicago, I think the worst big market is Chicago. I mean, other than the Cubs in 2016, you've been subjected to watching Derrick Rose ruin his NBA career. The
Blackhawks
Blackhawks,
are pretty
they were pretty
good.
good in the mid 2000 like tens, right? Like when they had Patrick Kane in his prime.
Yeah, like early 2010s. Yeah.
You can't go be like Jordan doesn't count, bro. That's the
Yeah, that's what I
90s.
was saying. Since like
Okay.
they
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like last 10
Josh,
years, we look at it.
dude, Josh Giddey just passed MJ for triple doubles, so pretty bad part of the NBA back in the day, if I must say.
All
He
right,
only had
let's
28.
leave it at that on just the
Yeah,
whole topic of Detroit. And I'm just going to briefly go over this F1 slate. So, in F1, they sometimes have a sprint race, which is essentially just a quarter distance race. And I hate them. They're stupid and they should be reworked. Because the winner of those gets 8 points, but the winner of a race gets 25. So, like, all right, whatever. Mercedes looks dominant all throughout the sprint. Kimi Antonelli gets a 10-second penalty, and he's not able to show his true pace in the sprint. Cadillac were not touching anything in the sprints; they weren't close. Red Bull looked okay. I mean, Max Verstappen was just outside the points, so I think the how did Killian put it? I'm gonna look at this text really quick. But while I keep talking about it, I honestly think that this year or right now in this exact moment is Cadillac's best time to get points. And that might sound crazy because there's so many teams that are better than them, but it's literally a war of attrition at the current moment. McLaren had 2 guys not even start the race. Audi, for the second race in a row, had a driver not start. Williams has looked like a crapshoot. And Aston Martin, those cars are undrivable. So we've already lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers for this race to begin, and points start in 10th place. So literally out of 16 guys, right? You need a few more DNFs and you get lucky somehow, some way. I genuinely think that Cadillac's best chance to score points is sometime soon. Max Verstappen had an issue with his car, and that let Sergio Perez finish 15th and Valtteri Bottas 13th. So let's say, in the rain, some of these inexperienced guys like Franco Colapinto, Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson, I guess he's kind of experienced, Ollie Behrman, they spin out. I genuinely think that this upcoming few races is their last chance this year to get any points. Because if not, Aston Martin's going to develop. All of these teams are going to get more sound operationally, and it's just not. They're just going to finish 21st and 22nd this entire year. And I misspoke last time. They are not powered by GM. GM comes into the sport in 2029. They are powered by Ferrari, who we've seen is actually a pretty good engine who can fight for wins. So their aero package must have been made by 2 monkeys tinkering around in a workshop. So, and then if we want to add on to the failures that we've seen in Detroit, Red Bull has done nothing either. Isaac Hadjar had a nice little go about, like a nice little roundabout spin, and Max Verstappen's either gearbox or engine failed, which is, an energy drink company making engines using Honda engineers under Ford branding. So it's not, I don't know if you can call it Ford engines, but upon all that, it just kind of shows, as you said last time, even this is like Detroit's thing since like Henry Ford, literally in the name, that they can make cars of all things. But I don't know. They can't make. It's conflicting to me how you can be the Motor City and still suck at making cars. And the only silver lining I'll give to Cadillac is that they are a new team in the sport in general. Like they had new facilities, new management, new whatever. Like even their pit stops look a little sloppy. So maybe, in 2029, GM just gives you the best engine you've ever seen and the car's a rocket ship. But, I mean, we can all dream. We can all dream. And then, we won't talk about MSU or Michigan basketball this time because that'll be in the bracket part. I mean, all those, Big Ten tournament talk is definitely related to the bracket. So, other than that, that's all we got for this episode, guys. Make sure
Yep.
you like and comment. Check out the links on the screen. You can see they're all listed here. And if you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, and until next week.